Hello students, welcome to today's English learning class. In today's session, we'll be exploring third chapter of your textbook, and that is two stories about flying. One is about a young seagull overcoming his fear of flight and titled his first flight, and second is about a pilot coming out of a difficult phase, a difficult flight of his. Fine, this is the story of optimism. So let's explore the first story. His first flight is the story of a young seagull. It has the theme wherein parents are very excited about teaching their kids the very basics of life. Fine, as our parents are quite eager to teach us the how to walk, how to talk. They want us to stand on our legs. Fine. So similar is the story of the young seagull who was extremely afraid of flying, but his parents, you know, wanted him to learn how to fly confidently, how to prey on the animals to get food. So this entire story is there. How parents motivated young seagull to come out of his fear and flap his wings and fly. No parents would want their children, their offspring, to remain as parasites over. They want them to be self-dependent. So this is a beautiful story carrying the theme wherein parents want their children to be dependent. They'll go to any extent, even if they may have to look cruel, even if they may have to look harsh and callous in this process. They won't mind that. Otherwise, if children are not taught to be dependent, they would lead a very miserable life. Every time in life they cannot be served everything on a platter. One needs to stand on one's feet to be able to earn one's livelihood, to be able to survive in this world. Fine. So this is a beautiful story comprising these all elements we have discussed. Let's see his first flight. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. So we have been shown a young seagull sitting alone on his ledge. Ledge is a narrow, extended part of a hill, or of a rock rather. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. So his siblings had flown away the day before, but he didn't have courage to fly alone, so he was alone. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge, as birds do, that first they take a run and then fly into the sky. So he had also taken a little run forward to the brink, to the edge. Brink means edge of the ledge, and attempted to flap his wings. He tried to flap his wings fine, but he became afraid. Something stopped him. The fear inside him stopped him. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath. He could see the vastness of the sea underneath him. So this vastness, scared him, frightened him. He felt he would fall down. He won't be able to fly, and it was such a long way down. It was miles down. So the distance down the sea made him afraid, and he feared the consequences, unpleasant consequences of his trying to fly. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So there was some kind of apprehension in his heart. There was some kind of doubt, and that doubt was certain that his wings would never support him and he would fall headlong. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge. The entire family used to live on the ledge in a hole. So he went back to his abode where he slept at night. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, ran to the edge, flapped their wings and flew away, he couldn't muster up courage. He failed to muster up courage. Muster up means collect courage. You need to, accumulate your entire strength to do an action. So he couldn't collect courage out of him to take that plunge, to make that plunge, to dive. Plunge means to dive, which appeared to him so desperate. This particular jump appeared to him so difficult in nature, so desperate. Desperate here means, rather, in a way, he himself was desperate, that he wanted to come out of that difficult situation. He wanted to change that situation into his favor, but he couldn't muster up courage. Fine. So he himself was desperate, and the situation itself was desperate, required to be changed, required to be turned into positive, turned into hopeful, rather being it, dismal. His father and mother had come around. So father and mother, they were parents. They had come around, calling to him shrilly. Shrilly means in a loud pitched, harsh sound. They upbraided him. Upbraiding him means scolding him, reprimanded him, threatening to let him starve. They become heartless. They become callous to make him learn. They threatened that if he won't develop the courage, he would starve. He would stay hungry on his legs unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he couldn't move. But for the life of him means, there was some fear inside him. That fear stopped him. There was the fear of happening some harm to his life, that didn't allow him to move. He couldn't move because of certain reasons of the harms to his life. That was 24 hours ago. Now 24 hours had passed since his family members had flown away. Since then, nobody had come near him. He was left isolated. He was left alienated. Since we have to fight the struggle of life on our own, even our family members are not going to support us. So we have to muster up courage and take the challenges on our own shoulders. Everybody's life is individual. Everybody's struggle is private. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister. The previous day, he had watched his parents flying about his brothers and sisters in the sky. They had been perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves. Skimming the waves is a maneuver. It's an artful activity which birds do. They keep on flying just so closer to the waves and so lightly that as soon as they get an opportunity to catch the fish, they jump and catch it. How to dive for fish, this entire process was taught by parents to his brothers and young sister. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring. He had seen his older brother catching his first fish. Herring is a kind of fish, and devour it. Devour means relish it, enjoy it, eat it quickly. Devour means to eat quickly. Standing on a rock while his parents circle around, raising a proud cackle. So when the brother had caught his first herring, the parents were standing on a rock and they circled around his brother to celebrate the achievement, and they raised a proud cackle, making a proud laughter, happiness, a pleasure, a sound of pleasure. Birds cackle. Birds, when they're happy, they cackle. And all the morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau. Plateau, let me tell you, it's a kind of highland with the plain surface, with the smooth surface, any piece of highland actually. With the flat surface. And all the morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau that was there in the middle of the sea, mid down the opposite cliff, that was just opposite to the cliff, opposite to the ledge where the seagull was left alone, and taunting him. They kept on taunting him. They kept on teasing him. They kept on making fun of him. They kept on jeering at him with his cowardice, about his cowardice. He had been a coward. Coward means a person who doesn't have courage to do something. So this was their way of instilling confidence into them. Sometimes, taunting works. If motivation doesn't work, taunting works. There are some people who cannot tolerate the attack on their self-esteem, and that stirs confidence into them. So parents were trying their level best to bring him into confidence and trying to take his first flight. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his legs, so he could feel the rays of the sun coming on his legs. He was alone. It faced the south. He felt the heat. He felt the heat because he hadn't eaten since the previous nightfall. So if you are hungry, you are going to feel heat more, because these elements of nature, food helps us becoming more comfortable in whatsoever environment we are. He felt the heat because he hadn't eaten since the previous nightfall, so it was more than 24 hours that he hadn't eaten anything. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the edge, and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, he closed one eye, then the other. He tried to fall asleep. and pretended to be falling asleep, though he was empty stomach, and it's quite difficult to go to bed without having anything our tummy, as happens with us. The same happened with the bird as well. He pretended to be asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. The family members who were at the opposite plateau, they ignored him. He was trying to arouse their sympathy, arouse their compassion towards him. He thought they would fall pity on him, and they would come and offer him something to eat. But they were determined to teach him to stand on his own legs. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing and sleeping with their heads sunk into their nets. It was the posture they were sleeping in. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. Preening means cleaning, making tidy the feathers on his white back. So birds do this process of preening their feathers using their neck, using their that beak. Fine. Only his mother was looking at him. Mother is, after all, mother, the most compassionate creature on this planet. So she was looking at him. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau. On the plateau itself, there was a rounded, raised part of the mass of the land on which the mother was there. Her white breast thrust forward. Her white breast was pushed forward. Now and again, she tore a piece of fish. So she was eating actually. She tore a piece of fish that lay at her feet. She had a piece of fish at her feet. She was just enjoying it. She tore a piece of it, and then scraped each side of her beak. Scraped means rubbing the beak against something hard. So scraped each side of her beak on the rock. They actually, birds sharpen their beak this way while eating. The sight of the food maddened him. So this was the moment when the starved seagull happened to see food with his mother. Fine. So he got maddened. He couldn't control his hunger. How he loved to tear food that way. He remembered scraping his beak now and then to wet it, to sharpen it. He remembered the entire process of eating the food that way, the way mother was eating. Ga, ga, ga. He cried, begging her. He just produced this sound of ga, ga, ga. He cried, making request to her mother to offer him some food. Ga, kol, aha. This was the refusal made by the mother. She screamed back derisively. Derisively means in a manner that shows that you don't disapprove somebody's thing and you are refusing. It's a mocking manner. It's a matter to make fun of somebody, to mock somebody, to jeer at somebody. It's ridiculously, rather, I would say. But he kept calling plaintively. But he kept calling in a sad manner. Plaintively means in a sad manner. And after a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. Now, what made him utter a joyful scream? What made him, come out with a happy cry? His mother had picked up a piece of fish and was flying across to him. He thought that her mother was coming towards him to offer him food. He became extremely happy. He uttered a joyful scream. He leaned out. He bent forward. He leaned out. He bent forward eagerly, tapping the rock on his feet. He was so excited that he was tapping the rock on his feet. He was trying to get nearer to her mother. He was so desperate to get that piece of fish as she flew across towards him. But when she was just opposite to him, she halted, she stopped, her wings motionless. She stopped, waving her wings. The piece of fish on her beak, almost within the reach of his beak. So, mother was so nearer that he was so excited to reach, but he couldn't understand why mother had halted and stopped after coming so nearer. You can watch in the pic that how close she was. Fine. He waited a moment in surprise. He was surprised why she was not coming nearer, wondering why she didn't come nearer, and then maddened by hunger, he was so desperate. He was mad because of hunger. He wanted to have something to eat anyhow. He dived at the fish. Fine. Otherwise he was not he didn't have courage enough to take that dive, take that plunge. But now, food being so close in proximity, he couldn't control himself, and instinctively, without knowing that what he was doing, he dived at the fish with a loud scream. He fell outwards and downwards into space. It was the first time he had taken the plunge into the open. So he just fluttered somehow into the space. Then a monstrous terror seized him. He felt the monstrous terror, quite frightening terror like that one feels seeing a monster, seeing a demon. You can experience the terror that a child has when he is having his first roller coaster ride, and his heart stood still. His heart stopped breathing for a moment. He felt he could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. It only lasted a minute. The next moment, he felt his wings spread outward spontaneously. It was bound to happen. Birds are naturally gifted with the art of flying, but since the young seagull didn't have courage enough, but when he was in the middle of the situation, his instinct forced him to do whatever was required to be done. The wind rushed against his breast. The wind struck against his breast feathers, and then under his stomach and against his wings. So he could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air, cutting through the air, sharpening through the air, passing through the air. He was not falling headlong now. He could see that he was not falling. He had got control over his wings and his entire body. He was soaring gradually. He was flying high. Soar means fly high, gradually downwards and outwards. When in all the directions he was soaring, he was no longer afraid. By now he had overcome his fear of flying. He just felt a bit dizzy. Yeah, there was some kind of unconsciousness, some kind of fainting, a feeling that you are losing your balance. That was felt by him. Fine. Then he flapped his wings once, and then he soared upwards. Ga 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 ga. All these were the sounds made by him, made by his mother in excitement. His mother swooped past him. Swooped past means flew suddenly towards him. Past him means closer to him, her wings making a loud noise. She was quite happy, she was quite excited, she was beyond anything with pleasure seeing this achievement of her young one. He answered her with another scream. He also responded her pleasure with a scream. Then her pleasure with a scream. Then his father flew over to him screaming. Father also joined the celebration. It was a party time for them. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying around him. They were also curveting and banking. Curveting and banking means these are the maneuvers. These are the tricks of flying made by the birds in the air. Curveting means leaping like a horse, taking leaps, jumps, fine, excited jumps. And banking means flying with one wing higher than the other. So you must have seen in movies that cars are on two wheels in a slanting pose. So they were also doing their stunts out of the happiness. They were the maneuvers performed by them, played by them in air. So it was the party time, it was the gala time. They were enjoying the first flight of the young seagull. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly. He forgot his past failures and commanded himself. He commanded himself. He ordered himself to dive and soar and curve. His inner force ordered himself. Actually, it motivated himself. It encouraged himself. Throughout, he kept shrilling. Shrieking means crying. Shrilly means loudly. That is an unpleasant, but for them it was party time. It was the sweetest song. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it. He was flying over the sea, facing straight over the ocean. It was the first time the vastness of the sea that had once made him scared was no longer frightening to him. He saw a vast green sea beneath him with little ridges moving over it. Ridges means the narrow extended parts of the rocks, fine, like ledges you can see. It's a kind of highland of in the middle of the sea, highland, raised part of the hill that is narrow. And he turned his beak sideways. He just made this expression and cawed amusedly. co is a sound made by excited sound made by the birds, and he was in amusement, he was in a mood of happiness, he was in a mood of glee and gaiety, he was beside himself with joy. Dear students, when you are extremely happy, you can say, I am beside myself with joy, or I'm on cloud nine, I'm on seventh heaven. So you can use these expressions in English to express your happiness, or I'm in the transport of delight. If you want, I can type some of these for you. I am in the, try to read it, transport. This is transport of delight. Delight. Fine. This is one. You can say, I'm extremely happy, I am in the transport of delight. Or you can say, I am sorry for this scribble, I'm on cloud nine. So that day the bird was on cloud nine, the bird was in the transport of delight. In fact, the entire family was in the transport of delight at the stupendous achievement made by the young seagull. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on the green flooring ahead of him. Green flooring means the surface of the sea covered with green moss. They were beckoning to him, they were calling him. Now they were teaching him how to land. Fine, he had learned how to fly. They were beckoning to him, they were calling him, they were gesturing towards him to come down, calling shrilly. Shrill, I have told you, loud sound made by the bird, shrill like a sharp he sharp sound. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. Initially his legs, he felt that his legs were sinking. He screamed with fright because this something he hadn't done before made him frightful, and attempted to rise again. He thought he would drown. Flapping his wings, he tried flapping his wings, but he was tired and weak with hunger that he couldn't rise. Exhausted, tired by the strange exercise. It was a strange exercise because he had never been into, he had never been into before. He had done it first time. His feet sank into the green sea up to some length. Then his belly touched it, and he sank no further. As seagulls can, uh, they can swim as well. He was floating on it, he was rather swimming on it, and allowed around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. So now all the family members were enjoying the party time, they were celebrating, they were offering him food to eat. He had made his first flight. So this was the entire journey, how the seagull had made his first flight. So, my dear students, achievements in life do not come to you so easily. You have to work hard. You have to expend your strength. You have to expand your horizon, and nothing is impossible. All the achievements are made for you. They are in your accessibility. You need to work hard for that, and we can learn a lesson from seagull, that things are not as difficult as they seem standing at a distance. Once we enter the battlefield, once we put ourselves with heart, body and soul into a task, tasks are not as difficult. The vastness, the difficulty, the vastness of the sea in front of the seagull is the symbol of the difficult challenges which seem to be impossible when we don't take the first step. But once we take the first step and keep on moving forward, things, all the forces of the nature come in our sport. As they say that if you try hard, you are bound to get success. Fine. So I hope I could justify with the explanation of this chapter. This is all about today's lecture. I would advise you to reread this chapter in between the length and leave your queries. I would love to sort out all the queries put forward by you. By now it's enough for today. We'll be learning the second story during the next lecture. Fine. Thank you very much. Take a good care of yourself. Stay happy always. Bye bye.